I look crazy. Okay, so fair warning. I drank. Oh, well, fair warning. I drank before this to try and dredge up more sadness for the topic of today. So yeah, it's day 50. I was overcome with a deep sadness today. I look out at the pasture of nature when I'm on my lunch break, and I see all the bugs play by the water. The bees go flower to flower. The birds chirp above me. The leaves blow and rustle in the wind. I feel ants crawl on me, searching for something more. A mosquito or two buzzing by my ear and biting my arm. Some dragonflies come from above and swoop down into the recently filled puddles below. The grass was high, and the hill where two foxholes were made known to me, only from a small bit of flat ground before it. It's peaceful. The sun shines with power between the clouds, with a bright blue background, with the heat beaming on my face. Just above the horizon of the hill to get there, I see it's all been cut. That was painful today. It was like my heart broke for an experience. I would sit out there from the stress of helping these children with all their snot nose and their whines and cries and wails of misunderstanding, on high alert to prevent self-injurious behaviors and harm of others, but also to help them so that they could live a life in which they are in control of themselves. It's peaceful to eat out there, under the tree that is sick itself, branches hollow and easily snap. The leaves touch the ground as the weight of each branch make it harder for it to stand tall, but it still pushes through. Seeing that cut grass hurt me. I don't even get it. It was like meaningless harm, you know? And maybe there's some scientific reason I don't understand. But life was booming. Of those black and white large bugs, I don't know what they are, that would always skip on the water, land on the rocks, chase after each other for minutes at a time. They were gone. Only one remained, sitting by what little water remained. Whatever life had been there was murdered. And I saw its carcass today. I could still smell the grass, the fresh cuts on it, the fresh wounds that pervaded every single blade there. There was no softness when you laid on it. Just sharp edges and dead blades. The land that I was on was murdered. And like, I'm thinking about this now. It's like, oh my gosh, I mean, I don't feel like any part of this is like too extra or anything. It's literally just like the life that was there. I was starting to grow more and more attached to. Each day I came back, I saw more and more of how it was taking up space. I saw how I took care of it little by little. There was litter there when I was there. A Capri Sun became a part of the dirt and I pulled it out. Whatever was in there tried to decompose, become a part of it, but it just couldn't. And I took it out of there and threw it away. And it'll go to another landfill, taking up another pocket in the planet where it won't decompose, but just sit there until the rest of nature catches up on how to take care of this mess. But it was sad. It was really sad. The trees are sick. And what little life was there to support it was murdered. But hey, that's what I'm seeing above ground. Maybe below ground, their roots are still strong. And something even more beautiful will come to be. Maybe this cutting will provide the fertilizer that is needed so that something even more powerful can come to be. I know this is quite a exaggerated telling of whatever this sadness is, but like really, there was a tree that used to be right in front of this window. It was there since childhood. 2 trees, actually. One that was there before I was born. The other that I watched grow up beside me. The first of which was very strong and firm. It had a very sturdy trunk. I think it was here since when this house was made. It was fantastic. I remember in preschool, we had a birthday party for me. One of the few birthday parties I ever had. And we tied a piñata around the tree with blue string. And the piece of the string that was tied around the trunk of the tree never came undone. It grew. It grew with the tree. And year after year, as I grew up, I would always see that string fade little by little, but not in a manner in which it was decomposing or being destroyed, but becoming a part of the tree. A part of my life had become a part of that tree. And I always thought it was cool, like that's a piece of history. I can tell you the story behind that. Super cool. And my family cut it down. It's because it was leaning into the house. But the other tree that was in front of this house was a little sapling. It was a pine tree. It was really cool. I remember the other tree. The other tree was a pine tree that I saw burrow itself out of the ground and grow year by year. It's really cool looking back in retrospect. It had its moments where it grew very fast, especially as a sapling. Those first few years with it, I was very worried about its development, but it stayed very sturdy. It stayed very strong. It grew straight up. It was awesome. And I'd say when it was around 14, 14 years old, that's when it reached its peak. My family didn't like how much of the driveway I covered. And it too was cut. They just got in the way. And now there are two stumps in the front yard. You know, what's going through my mind now is, do we not cut people out of our lives when they get in the way of whatever we're trying to create? You know, I like to see myself in nature. And even in what is being made, I feel like the act of cutting out is something that must only be done out of necessity. Of the two trees that were cut, only one needed to be cut. The other was cut out of preference, in my wholehearted opinion. See, I feel like removal and death are things that we struggle with. I struggle with. I mean, I said I struggle with. I said I'm good with it and I'm also struggling with it. You know, it's hard not to be attached to the life around you. It's hard not to be attached to the people around you, to put in care. But I think when we put in that care for the world around us, even in knowing the death of it, the inevitable death of it, no matter when it may come, I feel like that is where we can maximize our growth. Like, honestly, let's take, for example, the pond and these trees that I just talked about. The pond, or the drainage area, I guess. I unknowingly grew attached to that space, you know? And with the death of this previous iteration of it, what have I learned? That the peaceful escape, the loud, bountiful life that I've come to love is not correlated with my presence, not caused by my presence, but it's also that it'll always find me. You know? Like, wealth is always in its own cycles of life and death and rebirth. So why get caught up with what cycle it's in now? Enjoy it for what it is. And even with the trees before that were back there in the past, they grew to the best that they could before they were stopped by a greater force. That's all it was. They expressed themselves to the fullest. The messages that they needed to convey for their life were understood by those that needed to understand it. You know, they participated in the nature around them. And even if it was cut short, I think it would be safe to say that those trees lived their lives to the fullest. I'm like, I'm gonna live like that too. So, even though they murdered her, she still lived a great life. Okay. Yeah. Happy day 50. 10 more days left. Things are getting spicy. I'm working on things, and I plan on announcing them in these last 10 days. Don't know what days yet, but day 60 is going to be something special, and the days before that, or one of those days before that, will also be something special. So yeah, I'll see you guys on a Monday.